3 a.m. Total darkness. The silence of Montecito was broken not by a royal motorcade, but by the low rumble of commercial, unmarked trucks leaving the service gates of Riven Rock. This wasn't a celebrity relocation. This was a tactical evacuation. Breaking intelligence confirms that as the sun rose over California this morning, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex had effectively vanished. Multiple longtime staff members were dismissed without warning. The security perimeter has been dismantled, and the Chateau of Riven Rock, the symbol of their American freedom, is now standing empty, awaiting the bank's padlock. Sources are calling it the Midnight Ghost Protocol. They didn't leave because they wanted to. They left because the trap finally snapped shut. We are looking at a perfect storm of financial ruin. A sudden insurance cancellation that triggered a technical default on their mortgage, a $20 million demand from Netflix, and a crushing verdict from Prince William that declared their home a liability with a driveway. The American dream didn't end with a bang. It ended with a flashlight in the dark and a moving van. Today, we are taking you inside the secret eviction. We will expose the red file audit that William used to deny their bailout, reveal why Tyler Perry refused to answer the phone, and show you exactly where the Nomadic Royals are hiding right now. Do not click away. The house is empty, but the secrets are just coming out. While the trucks were loading in the dead of night in California, the decision that triggered this evacuation had already been made 5,000 miles away in London. We take you inside the closed call, an emergency summit that was never listed on any royal schedule. Prince William, who inherited the Duchy of Cornwall in 2022, is no longer just a brother. He is the CEO of a $1.2 billion sovereign estate. And when Harry called, desperate for a bridge loan to save his crumbling empire, William didn't react with emotion. He reacted with an audit. According to palace insiders, William accessed the duchy's proprietary audit suite to perform a forensic review of his brother's finances. What he found was not a home. It was a financial black hole masked by stucco walls and rose gardens. William presented what we are calling the red file. Using the duchy's internal rating system, where green means profitable and red means volatile, the Montecito estate was flashing a bright, warning red. Let's look at the numbers that reportedly made William shake his head in disbelief. The annual burn rate, the cost just to keep the lights on, is staggering. We are talking $245,000 a year in property taxes alone. $300,000 to over $1 million for private armed security, a bill the British taxpayers stopped paying years ago. Add to that $185,000 for insurance premiums before they were cancelled, and $120,000 for utilities and groundskeeping to keep those 7 acres green in a drought zone. The total operating cost? Up to $2 million a year. And that is before Harry pays a single cent of his mortgage. William looked at these figures and delivered a verdict that cut deeper than any sword. This isn't a home, it's a liability with a driveway, Harry reportedly pleaded. He tried the emotional angle. He tried to argue that his bankruptcy would damage the crown's reputation. But William stood firm on the duchy's charter, which has governed the estate since the 14th century. The duchy exists to fund public works and the heir, not to be a private ATM for lifestyle errors. To bail Harry out would not only violate policy, it would trigger a parliamentary inquiry. The meeting ended not with a hug, but with a directive. William reportedly told him, "The firm already paid the price for your exit. It will not pay your mortgage." Then came the 4 brutal words that sealed their fate. Sell the house. The Bank of Dad is closed. And as Harry discovered in that cold video call, the Bank of Brother never even opened. Prince William's refusal was a blow to the heart. But the blow to the head came from a much less royal source. The breaking point for the Montecito dream didn't arrive with a headline. It arrived with paperwork. At precisely 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, a certified letter was signed for at the service entrance of Riven Rock. It wasn't a fan letter, it was a death warrant for their residency. The document was a notice of non-renewal from their homeowner's insurance provider, identified in reports as State Shield CA. The letter confirmed a terrifying reality. The policy, covering the $14 million estate, would lapse at midnight on Friday due to a reassessment of wildfire zone exposure. For those watching from outside California, this might sound like a minor administrative headache. But in the high-stakes world of luxury real estate, this is a catastrophe. California is currently in the grip of an insurance crisis, with major providers fleeing the state due to climate risks. Montecito, with its lush vegetation and steep canyons, is now classified as a red zone, a disaster waiting to happen. Here is where the trap snaps shut. In ordinary terms, losing insurance is an inconvenience. But under the specific terms of Harry's reported $9.5 million mortgage, it is fatal. Real estate experts confirm that nearly all high-value mortgage contracts contain a hazard insurance clause. The moment insurance coverage lapses, the loan automatically enters what is known as technical default. It doesn't matter if Harry has never missed a monthly payment. It doesn't matter if he has perfect credit. If the house isn't insured, the bank's collateral is unprotected. And when that happens, the lender has the legal right to initiate foreclosure proceedings immediately. This is the California trap that Harry, in his royal naivety, reportedly never saw coming. He bought a palace without understanding the ground it stood on. He purchased a property in a mudslide and fire zone, assuming his fame would somehow insulate him from the risks that ordinary citizens face. But banks do not care about titles. They care about risk management. With the policy set to expire in 72 hours, Harry was left with two impossible choices. Find a specialist insurer willing to cover a high-risk property for an exorbitant premium, often costing hundreds of thousands of dollars up front, or pay off the entire $9.5 million mortgage in cash immediately. He didn't have the cash. And as we know from the red file audit, he didn't have the income to sustain a new, massive premium. The technical default clause was the gun held to his head. This explains the panic. This explains the midnight trucks. They weren't just moving out. They were fleeing before the bank could legally seize the keys. The evacuation wasn't a choice. It was a race against the midnight deadline. And as if fighting the bank and the climate wasn't enough, Harry turned to his last hope, the media giant that owed him millions. But instead of a lifeline, he found a predator waiting to claw everything back. If the insurance cancellation was a jab to the jaw, the notification that arrived next was a dagger to the heart. Harry likely believed that even without the duchy's money, his Hollywood war chest would save him. After all, they had signed a historic $100 million deal with streaming giant Netflix in 2020. That contract was supposed to be their golden goose, the engine of their financial independence. But as the insurance clock ticked down towards midnight, a digital missile was launched from Netflix headquarters in Los Gatos directly to the Arcuel servers. It wasn't a script approval. It wasn't a renewal. It was a formal legal letter activating what is known in the industry as the clawback provision. According to internal sources at the streaming giant, Netflix has officially demanded the return of an estimated $20 million in advanced funding. The reason cited in the correspondence was cold and corporate: non-fulfillment of contract deliverables. Most viewers don't realize how high-level entertainment contracts work. When Harry and Meghan signed that mega deal, the millions they received up front were not a gift. They were a recoupable advance. It was a loan against future work. The deal was simple. We give you millions now. You give us hit shows later. But nearly 4 years have passed. And what is the return on investment? Aside from the Harry and Meghan documentary, the production pipeline is empty. The animated series Pearl? Cancelled. The scripted dramas? Rejected. Netflix executives, once patient, are now reportedly referring to the partnership as a low-yield celebrity vanity deal. They have decided to cut their losses. And when a corporation like Netflix decides to collect a debt, they don't ask nicely. They allege a material breach of contract. Before we witness Meghan's desperate reaction to this career-ending news, I want to take a brief moment to connect with you, our loyal community. In reporting these stories of high-stakes volatility, it reminds us to cherish stability and peace in our own lives. I sincerely hope that wherever you and your family are today, you are safe, healthy, and surrounded by those you trust. We are broadcasting this investigation globally, and it is always a privilege to see how far our voice reaches. Please, take a moment to introduce yourself in the comments below. Let us know the city and country you are watching from. Are you tuning in from the UK, the US, Australia, or perhaps somewhere else entirely? It is an honor to have you with us. Now, back to the panic inside Montecito. When that email landed, the reality of their situation shifted from difficult to impossible. Meghan Markle reportedly scrambled to call her agents at WME, William Morris Endeavour. She needed a lifeline. She needed a new deal to pay off the old one. But the phone lines were disturbingly quiet. The clawback notice effectively freezes their ability to secure favorable financing anywhere else. No other studio is going to touch a talent that is currently being sued by Netflix for non-delivery. The golden goose hadn't just stopped laying eggs, it had died. Harry and Meghan are now facing a cash flow crisis of epic proportions. They owe the bank, they owe the insurers, and now they owe their employer. The Archewell production team, once envisioned as a powerhouse, is now operating in skeleton mode, with staff bracing for the end. With no income coming in and creditors banging on the door, Harry turned to the one person who had never let him down. The man who gave him a home when he first arrived. The Godfather. Surely, Tyler Perry would answer the call? But as Harry picked up the phone for one final plea, he didn't realize that the Godfather had already made his own cold calculation. With the bank closing in and Netflix demanding their millions back, Prince Harry had one final card to play. He turned to the only man who had ever bailed him out without asking for a contract. Tyler Perry. For 3 years, Perry was more than just a benefactor. He was their lifeline. He was the man who sent his private Gulfstream jet to rescue them from Canada in 2020. He gave them an $18 million home and provided elite security when the palace stripped theirs away. Harry likely believed that the godfather of his daughter would never let them fall. But he was wrong. When Harry made that desperate call, pleading for a temporary security arrangement or a safe haven while he sorted out the insurance mess, he didn't get the warm embrace of a friend. He got the cold logic of a billionaire. According to insiders, the conversation was short and brutal. Perry, a shrewd operator who built his empire from nothing, had reportedly been conducting his own risk assessment. He had watched Harry and Meghan prioritize image over infrastructure for years. While Perry was footing the bill for their physical safety, they were spending their liquidity on designer wardrobes, PR firms, and private jets to New York. He felt he was underwriting their dream while they were investing in their brand. But the real reason for Perry's refusal goes deeper than just annoyance. It was legal. Intelligence suggests that Perry's financial advisors warned him about the regulatory risk. With scrutiny intensifying around the Archewell Foundation and questions emerging about unfiled U.S. tax documentation on international gifts, Perry risked being seen as a financial enabler to a brand under federal watch. If he continued to fund them off the books, he could be dragging his own studio empire into an IRS audit. So, Tyler Perry chose self-preservation over sentiment. He delivered a line that has now become legendary in Hollywood circles. "I helped you start over. I can't help you stay there." With those words, the bank of the Godfather was officially closed. The consequences were immediate and visible. This wasn't just a rejection over the phone. It was a physical dismantling of their safety net. Witnesses report that the elite Talon security group, the top-tier unit that had guarded the estate 24/7, was officially pulled off the perimeter. These were the pros, the guys with international intel clearance. And who replaced them? Neighbors spotted a local contractor team from Goleta arriving this weekend. They weren't wearing tactical gear. They were wearing standard uniforms. The Iron Dome that Tyler Perry had built around the Sussex family has vanished. This is the moment Harry truly realized the magnitude of his isolation. Prince William refused the duchy funds. Netflix demanded the advance back. And now, Tyler Perry has pulled the plug. The Sussexes are no longer protected by the crown, and they are no longer protected by Hollywood. They are exposed. And with the security perimeter compromised and the house empty, they have been forced into a lifestyle that palace insiders are mocking as the era of the Nomadic Royals. Where do you go when you are a prince with no palace and no patron? You go into hiding, with the gates of Riven Rock closing behind them and the security perimeter dismantled. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have entered a terrifying new phase of their post-royal lives. Palace insiders have reportedly coined a new, derogatory title for the couple. They are no longer the American Royals. They are now the Nomadic Royals. For the first time in his life, Prince Harry is a prince without a palace. They are royals without a residence and without a home base. What we are witnessing is not a vacation. It is a state of luxury homelessness. According to financial filings tied to Archewell Properties LLC, the couple has no other fixed assets listed in the continental U.S. outside of the Montecito estate they are fleeing. This means their next move isn't a transition to a new purchased home. It is a scramble for temporary shelter. One insider put it bluntly: they are now living in a suitcase. They are bouncing from location to location, likely relying on short-term leases, borrowed villas from wealthy acquaintances, or hiding behind third-party ownership structures to mask their whereabouts. But why is this so dangerous? For a private citizen, staying in a hotel or a high-end rental is just an inconvenience. But for high-risk figures like the Sussexes, who have claimed to be targets of global threats, this lifestyle is a security disaster. Former MI5 security advisors have reportedly warned that this movement pattern places not only Harry and Meghan at risk, but their children as well. Think about the logistics. Unlike a private estate like Frogmore or Riven Rock, a hotel or rental cannot be fully locked down. Hallways cannot be sealed. Elevators cannot be controlled. Surveillance feeds are shared with building management. Most terrifyingly, in the hospitality industry, guest lists are often accessible to staff, meaning every concierge, every cleaner, and every valet is a potential leak. Every time they check in, they create a traceable digital footprint. Every meal ordered via room service is a risk. The downgrade from Tyler Perry's elite protection to regional security firms has already compromised their safety perimeter. Now, their mobility threatens to compromise everything. They are effectively exposed targets, moving through the world without a shield. So, why not just go back to the UK? Or buy a cheaper house? The trap is tight on both sides. A return to the UK is reportedly deemed impossible. Frogmore Cottage has been repossessed by the Crown. Public hostility towards them is at an all-time high, and without official royal status, their taxpayer-funded security would be minimal. Staying in California is equally toxic due to the mounting legal exposure and what insiders call social exile. And buying a new home? Not without liquidity. The Netflix Clawback has effectively frozen their ability to secure favorable financing for a new property. Banks read the news, too. They know the income streams are drying up. The image is stark. The prince who once had the entire British military at his disposal is now reportedly reduced to sneaking into service elevators of luxury hotels, hoping no one tweets his location. It is a humiliation that goes beyond money. It is a loss of dignity, and as the walls close in with no home, no security, and no cash, Harry has one card left to play. It is a dangerous card. A card that could burn down the monarchy or burn him. It sits on a desk at Penguin Random House, and it is the only thing standing between him and total irrelevance. As we close the file on the Montecito evacuation, we are left with one terrifying question. What does a desperate prince do when he has no home, no cash, and no allies? He attacks. According to publishing executives, the team behind Spare has already floated outlines for a second installment. But this time, the tone is darker. Working titles reportedly include Spare No One and The Heir's Shadow. Palace insiders fear this will be a scorched earth campaign, weaponizing private correspondence between William and Catherine and perhaps even King Charles's medical files. One royal aide summed it up chillingly. If the first book was a cry for attention, the second will be a cry for money. This is the ultimate tragedy of the Sussex saga. Prince Harry believed independence meant rejecting the crown. But as he stands in the ruins of his American dream, he is learning a brutal lesson. True independence means earning the right to stand without a safety net. He traded the monarchy for the market, but he forgot that the market has no loyalty. Freedom cannot be financed with debt, and dignity cannot be bought with betrayal. The American dream didn't end with a bang for Harry. It ended with a listing agreement and a clawback notice. Now, I hand the gavel over to you, the jury of public opinion. With his back against the wall, do you think Harry will release this second book to save himself from bankruptcy? And if he does, is he a survivor fighting for his family, or a traitor selling out his blood? I want to hear your voice. Type survivor if you think he has no choice. Type traitor if you think he has gone too far. If you appreciate us exposing the financial reality that the mainstream media ignores, please smash that like button. It helps us keep the lights on and the investigations running. Don't forget to subscribe to Legacy's Edge and ring the bell so you never miss the next briefing. The house is sold, but the war is just beginning. I'm Man, and I'll see you in the next episode.